Today is March 26, 2014, and we're interviewing Peter Bromberg at the Illinois Veterans Home in Quincy, Illinois. Peter is 70 years of age and was born on January 29, 1944.
Correct.
My name is Tracy Allgilvers, and I'll be the interviewer. Peter, could you state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
I didn't serve in any volunteer, just served for Vietnam. They said you get two choices. I said, okay, Vietnam's #1. #2 would be Alaska. That's where they sent me.
To Alaska?
Yes.
Okay.
They needed somebody that could learn guns.
Okay. What was your rank?
When I first went up there, I was just a private.
What was your rank when you came out?
Who's Spec 4,
Okay.
Specialist 4th class. That was after I got busted for taking a weapon away from a colonel who was waving it in the air out on the firing line, and I told him to put it on the ground, and he wouldn't put it down. I had to go do it the hard way. I had to take it away from him.
Okay. So
and I did it. I took it away. I told him, I said, look, this might hurt, but you have to put that down. There's a whole bunch of guys around here that if you shoot any one of them, we're going to be missing him. And who knows, you might shoot a wire or something that we really need around here.
Okay. So you served in Alaska?
Yes.
Where at in Alaska?
Most of it was in Anchorage.
Anchorage? Okay.
But in the wintertime, we had war games up in Fairbanks, around Fort Greeley.
What branch of the service were you in?
It was just Army.
Army? Okay. Did you get immersed in the culture while you were stationed?
Yes, with the Alaska National Guard. I worked with them
Okay.
all the time.
Okay.
And they taught me a lot of things. They taught me, if we ever had a war with Russia, they taught me how to escape when you don't have any boots or anything to protect you.
Did you bring any mementos back with you when you came back to the States? Any souvenirs or anything that was special to you?
Just this little card that says that I was part of the Below Zero Club, because in one of the days where we were on maneuvers, it was 70 degrees below zero. That was the mean temperature. And with the wind chill, it was 140 below.
Okay. What was your job or assignment while you were in the service?
Various things.
Such as what?
I was an armorer.
You was what?
Armorer.
Okay.
Somebody takes care of all the weapons. I had 814 M1 rifles and 239 .45s, which were for the officers in the headquarters itself.
Okay. Did you see combat while you were in the war? Or, I'm sorry, in the service?
Nope.
Okay. Were you awarded any medals or citations while you were there? And if so, what did you receive them for?
The only thing I received anything special for, I got a trophy for being the highest in the battalion. When I did my basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky, I scored 97 points something.
What fort in Kentucky did you say? What fort in
It
Kentucky?
was Fort Knox.
Fort Knox.
Fort Knox in Kentucky? How did you get along with the officers and your fellow soldiers?
Very well. Always.
Always?
I always go out of my way to be nice to people.
Did you ever feel any pressure, stress, or anxiety?
Sure. Once in a while.
Did you keep a personal diary of any type? Can you tell me about a memorable experience that you may have had while you were in the service that stands out?
Sure, the first time I had to go out to Ethiopia, which was our when we went to DEFCON 3, We had to go to our alert area, which is off the fort, 50 miles off fort. I had to go and pick up 7 tons of ammunition, and put it in the back of my 2.5-ton truck they assigned me, and take all the rifles that were not picked up by troops that had already come through and picked them up. So I took their weapons with me.
Okay. Were you?
I also carried special weapons like the 105 and 106 millimeter recoilless rifles, which are mounted to the back of vehicles usually.
Were you able to stay in touch with your family while you were in the service?
Yes. I once made a radio, telephone, phone call. So I also wrote letters all the time.
Okay. Did you do or have something special for good luck?
Yes and no. I had a ring from one of the Alaska National Guard. One of the guys, his daughter gave me a ring for good luck.
Okay. Did you have plenty of supplies? That's yes?
Yes,
Okay. What was the food like?
very good.
The following questions are about R&R. How did you entertain yourself, and were there any entertainers that came to see you at your base or your unit?
Yes, there was. We had USO. We played bingo at USO, and I won Tyler's watch. And let's see, and yes, we had an entertainer. I can't remember who it was. It was male, wasn't female.
Okay. What did you do when you went on leave?
The first leave I took, I went back after I'd been up there for 24 months. Came back here to the lower 48 to see my family.
Did you travel while you were in the service? Did you travel to other states or any overseas or anything like that?
Only when they stationed me. My first station after Fort Ord was I can't even think of the name of it. It's the one in California.
Camp Lejeune? No? I'm not sure. If you think about it, you can come back to it, okay? Do you recall any...
It's just outside Monterey, California.
Okay. Do you recall any particular humorous or unusual events while you were in R&R? No? Okay. What were some of the pranks that you or others would pull? Did you ever pull a prank on somebody or somebody pull a prank on you?
Sure, you short sheet.
Short sheet the beds?
Right? They used to do it to me a lot. I slept in the second bunk. I had a real special way of getting in bed, so I always ripped the sheet. But I was a supply specialist, so there was no problem. I just pay myself to get another sheet. Use my own money.
Yeah, okay. Do you recall the day your service ended and where you were at?
Yes, I was at. They flew us back out of Anchorage to it's Tacoma, Seattle. I can't remember the name of it.
Spokane?
No.
No?
But there was an Army base that they flew us back to the Air Force base, and the bus picked you up and took you to the Army base, where you turned in all your stuff and signed all your forms.
Okay. So you were never... I'm going to bypass these two because it had to do with you're in the war and you were never in the war. So, had you fulfilled your military service when you were discharged?
No, I had. When I got back here, I had to go to 5th Army headquarters in Fort Sheridan and turn myself over to them, reporting for duty for National Guard.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Were others discharged with you at the time you were discharged? Other fellow soldiers?
Yes, about 100 and something.
Okay. What did you do in the days and weeks afterward? Did you resume a job or start a new career?
I started a new. They'd come out while I was in the service with what new math is what they called it. So I went to a college to learn new math.
Okay.
Which turned out it's just the way I do math anyways.
Did you go back to school at any point? And if you did you
Yes,
use your GI Bill to get your education?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
It was fine when I went to the YMCA Junior College in Chicago because they only awarded me $100 a month. That covered what I would want at Chicago, which is all I took was algebra.
Okay. Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service? And if so, did you continue
Yes.
seeing those people afterwards?
Yes, there was one that unfortunately he died about, let's see, what was that, about 3-4 years ago.
So up until about 3 or 4 years ago, you maintained a relationship with that
Yes,
person?
Earl R. Patrick out of Davie, West Virginia.
Okay. Did you ever attend any reunions? Did your unit ever get together? Were you all...
We never had any reunions that I heard of, none that I heard of.
Okay. Did you join a veterans organization of any kind when you come out? Or throughout your lifetime?
No, they didn't have anything like that
Okay.
that I'm aware of.
All right. How has your service and experiences affected your life? Has anyone ever thanked you for serving your country? And if so, how did that make you feel?
Yes, they have now, finally. When I first came out, when I flew from Tacoma, Washington, back to Chicago, when I landed at O'Hare, the kids spit on me because I had a uniform on. This is my Class A uniform. And they said, "Why are you doing this to me?" They said, "We hate you guys in the Army. That's why you don't even know who I am or what I did." All I did in the service was save lives. Because during the Alaska earthquake, which is the worst one that's ever hit the North American continent, I tried to save a trainman's life. He was underneath a railroad car. That was a neat trick. I got some of the guys that I hung around with to help me go move the railroad car, to roll it, so that we could crawl underneath and get them. We got them out. We patched bandages on them as best we could. You know, we just ripped our own uniforms because they were clean. So I'll patch him up. And one of the guys put a tourniquet on him. I said, "Are you sure that tourniquet's good?" I should have checked it. I didn't. I said, "Okay, let's do this." I had agreed to firemen carry him back to the hospital, which is 2 miles up the hill. Which I did, but the problem is I got up there and he had bled out, which really upset me. I said, "What do you mean you can't save him?" I said, "Can we pump blood back into him?" I said, "Where am I going to get type A blood?" I said, "That's me." So they put me on a table, they put a pack in my elbow and ran it directly over to this machine, and from the machine it went over to him. It still wasn't enough. I laid there for an hour while they pumped blood across. and it didn't save his life, but we tried. I mean, come on, it was just a regular city hospital. They did the best they could. They've never known in their entire life they'd be fighting for people's lives. You have to look up Seward on the internet because
Look up what?
Seward endoscopy.
Okay.
On one end of the waterfront was a cannery. Next thing was a Standard Oil farm. That's where they unloaded the the jet fuel for our Air Force bases up there. So that was all very volatile fuel that was in those tanks. When the earthquake hit, it split the tanks, and those things went up in flames, and the train cars were all set to go up north come the end of the weekend. And they had, I don't remember, it was like 30 or 40 tank cars full of fuel on the train. And the fuel from the farm spread out down the tracks and cooked off all those tank cars. They'd explode and shoot their fuel straight up in the air. Then we'd come back down and join the huge pool of fuel that was running down the streets. And this fire truck came in, and I got some of my friends and I said, come on, let's go see what he's going to do. He said, we're going to try to use water to just force the flames away from this town. You know, just make, there's a fuel right on top of the water. So maybe I can get that river to turn direction. We also tried some other things. At one point he said, let's let it run into the sewer. I said, no, that's a bad idea because you've got sewer pipes in everybody's basement or something, or some of the buildings in town. The flames will just go right up the sewer pipes into people's homes and just burn them up that way. He said, how do you know? I said, I don't know. I only know that that's the way a lot of places work. They have a central sewer line that branches off of it. I said, we don't want to burn up the people. There's a whole section. After that was the camp that I was in, the rec camp for Seward. It's for R&R. We had boats, motorboats, because we'd take the troops out fishing for halibut and red snapper. What was the one? Yeah, the red snapper. They also had, there was a cold jet, there was a warm Japanese current that came into Resurrection Bay. And therefore we had some sharks that like to live up there. We'd fish for them because they like to fight so much. And link cod and stuff. Resurrection Bay before the earthquake was 300 feet deep. After the earthquake it was 900 feet deep.
Wow.
The bottom sunk out someplace. The other thing they had on the train was a whole bunch of new cars that they were delivering to Anchorage, which never made it. Most of them ended up in the Resurrection Bay floating around. I had pictures of some of those floating around. Even had 10 cars floating around in the Resurrection Bay. They came up with the biggest crane I'd ever seen in my life. They used it to try to lift the out of the train cars that were in Resurrection Bay, out of the bay, and put them on land. One of them was the locomotive. It was too much for the crane and broke its boom. and it tipped over, so then the Army came up with a 3D9 trying to remember. The problem with having a stroke is that you got little pieces of your memory that's totally gone.
That's okay.
3D9 bulldozers they brought from someplace. And they used them to try to push the crane back up, right? You know. They brought up all this special equipment from the States. Some of the stuff they brought up in a C-130. And it tried to land at the airport in Seward. But first they had to send us down there to clear the wreckage. So when the seismic wave came in and hit the airport, it deposited bolts every place, mostly in trees. The planes that were there, the wind in front of the seismic wave caused the planes to actually take off, and they flew up into the trees too. And we're down there with everything we can find, trying to pull these planes out of trees.
Okay.
They landed a C-130. There's U2 photographs of Seward.
Is there?
Yes,
Okay.
it overflew us for almost 2 hours on the morning after, because the earthquake was Good Friday, March 27th, 1964 at 5:36 p.m. I had gone up, I was in the chow hall, gone up to the chow line to get seconds on pineapple upside down cake, which our cook made especially well up, much better than most people. And I got the food, and the sergeant yelled earthquake. I said, okay, yeah, that's what this has got to be. The building is jumping up and down. Things are just falling all over the place. Building cracked in half.
Were you in the building?
And he said, everybody get out. I said, okay. The back step on the cement step was going like this, flopping up and down. He had to jump over it. One of the guys miscalculated and broke his ankle. This thing.
It was big.
And a crevasse opened up just where we were jumping to. That's why I ended up, when I jumped over it, ended up down in the crevasse. You're telling me get out of there, Peter, before you die, because if it slams together, we'll never find you. And that's the truth, because the earthquake was in March. And in June, when they were doing some major cleanup, they went and looked for this one car that we had all seen get swallowed by a crevasse. They never found it. They even used magnometers and everything else.
Okay.
They used an electric magnet to try to pull the car up. If they found it, they never found it. They went all the way to the bottom of the crevasse, which was like 900 feet deep. And you couldn't believe it. And the earth just opens up and swallows everything that's there.
Okay. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or military in general?
Did what?
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or military in general?
Yes. You make some of the tightest friends in the world. and you get to rely on people. When I fell down in that crevasse, two of my friends jumped in to make sure I got out of there. I didn't ask them to do that, they just did it on their own.
Would you encourage young men and women today to enlist?
Yes,
Is your
the
view
things
of,
they teach you in basic are worth it.
all right,
The map reading and the first aid, and how to use weapons. Because if we ever end up in a war, even if you don't have a weapon to go to war with, you're going to be able to pick one up somewhere down the line. If you don't know how to use it, it's not going to do us any good. And we're going to need anything we can get our hands on,
okay.
depending on who our enemy is. Yes, we can do spears, and maybe we can even do slingshots, but, you know, I'd rather have a rifle against a rifle than a slingshot against a rifle.
Is your view of government the same before and after your years of service?
Now what?
Is your view of government the same before and after your years of service?
No, because in the military, you get to know a lot about the main people in Washington and how the president was thinking about. When I was in there, we had a missile crisis. And he wasn't just talking words about the missile crisis. We went into DEFCON 3, and he ordered up all the troops that were already in the service to be ready to go to war someplace. So they took us out, they took a bunch of us out and said, you might be the ones, even though we're trainees, you know. We ended up with a heavy weapons platoon.
Okay.
That's where you have a M60 machine gun, the 50 cal and the 30 cal and the Browning automatic rifle, and the M79 grenade launcher.
How do you feel about how war is depicted in movies now? And do you feel there's an accurate depiction of the war in movies?
I don't know. I never went to Nam. Most of those movies are very realistic. I mean, within reason, you know.
Okay. What is your opinion of war/history that is taught in the school systems today?
I don't know. I haven't had it taught to me in the school system, so
Okay.
I don't know.
What is the most negative thing you took away from your years in the service?
Most negative thing against who?
Repeat that, I didn't hear you.
The most negative thing against who? No negative? Okay.
I only felt bad because people spit on my uniform when I came back.
Okay. That answers that question. What is the most positive thing you took away from your experience in the service?
The camaraderie you build with
With your friends?
with the other soldiers from all over the United States.
Okay. And this is my last question. Is there anything you would like to add to this interview or any statement you'd like to make before this is over?
Well, there was one thing that happened when I was assigned at Fort Lee, Virginia. When we got on the bus, I was traveling with a guy, Jerry Magnuson from Chicago. He was a black guy. When we got on the bus together, even the military bus, it said move to the rear of the bus, you know. Black people are not allowed at the front of the bus. I said, come on, what uniform has he got on? What uniform do I got on? He said, same as mine. I said, you got it. So why don't you move to the rear of the bus? I mean, come on, so what if he's black? You know, I couldn't believe that somebody in my own uniform is telling a black soldier to go to the rear of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe that they would be so bigoted that they could fight together and expect maybe him to help you in the war, but yet you tell him that he can't sit at the front of the bus. That's absurd.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To the way I was brought up, because I was raised with black kids in Chicago and even in the burbs.
All right. I appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate your service that you served.
I hope I did whatever it was that
You
needed
did.
done.
You did excellent. We appreciate that you come in and agreed to do this, sir. Hold on just a minute, okay?
Okay.
What's the name of that?